Today's story we'll be reading is called Hortan Hatches an Egg by Dr. Seuss. Sigh Maisie, a lazy bird hatching an egg. I'm tired and I'm bored and I'm kinks in my leg from just sitting here day after day. It's work. How I hate it. I'd much rather play. I'd take a vacation, fly off for a rest. If I can find someone to stay on my nest. If I can find someone, I'll fly away free. Then Hortan the elephant passed by her tree. "Hello," called the lazy bird, smiling her best. "You've nothing to do and I do need rest. Would you like to sit on my egg in my nest?" The elephant laughed. "Why, all silly things. I have feathers and I have wings. Me on your egg? Why, that doesn't make sense. Your egg is so small, ma'am, and I'm so immense." "Tut tut," answered Maisie. "I know you're not small, but I'm sure you can do it. No trouble at all. Just sit on it softly. You're gentle and kind. Come be a good fellow, and I know you won't mind." "I can't," said the elephant. "Please," begged the bird. "I won't be gone long, sir. I give you my word. I'll hurry right back. I'll never be missed." "Very well," said the elephant, "since you insist. You want a vacation, go fly off and take it. I'll sit on your egg and I'll try not to break it. I'll stay and be faithful. I mean what I say." "Doo-doo-doo," sang Maisie and fluttered away. The first thing to do," murmured Hortan. "Let's see. The first thing to do is to prop up this tree and make it much stronger. That has to be done. Before I get on it, I must weigh a ton." Then carefully, tenderly, gently crept up the trunk to the nest where the little egg slept. Then Hortan the elephant smiled. "Now that's that," and he sat, and he sat, and he sat, and he sat. And he sat all that day, and he kept the egg warm, and he sat all that night through a terrible storm. He poured in lightning and thunder and rumble. "This isn't much fun," the poor elephant grumbled. "I wish she'd come back, 'cause I'm cold and I'm wet. I hope that Maisie bird doesn't forget." But Maisie by this time was far beyond reach, enjoying the sunshine, way off in Palm Beach, and having much fun, such a wonderful rest. Decided she'd never come back to her nest. So Hortan kept sitting there day after day, and soon it was autumn. The leaves blew away, and it came the winter, the snow and the sleet and icicle hung from his trunk and his feet. But Hortan kept sitting and said with a sneeze, "I'll stay on this egg and I won't let it freeze. I meant what I said and I said what I meant. An elephant's faithful 100%. So poor Hortan sat there the whole winter through, and then came the springtime with trouble anew. His friends gathered around and they shouted with glee, "Look, Hortan, the elephant's up in the tree." They taunted, they teased him, they yelled, "I'll observe, old Hortan the elephant thinks he's a bird." They laughed and all ran away, and Hortan was lonely and he wanted to play. But he sat on the egg and continued to say, "I meant what I said and I said what I meant. An elephant's faithful 100%. No matter what happens, this egg must be tended." But poor Hortan's troubles were far, far from them ended. For a while Hortan sat there, so faithful, so kind, 3 hunters came sneaking up softly behind. He heard the men's footsteps. He turned with a start. 3 rifles were aiming right straight at his heart. Did he run? Did he not? Hortan stayed on that nest. He held his head high and he threw out his chest and looked at the hunters as much as to say, "Shoot if you must, but I won't run away. I meant what I said and I said what I meant. An elephant's faithful 100%. But the men didn't shoot. Much to Hortan's surprise, they dropped their glittering guns and they stared with wide eyes. "Look!" they all shouted. "Can such a thing be an elephant sitting on top of a tree? It's strange, it's amazing, it's wonderful, new. Don't shoot him, we'll catch him. That's just what we'll do. Let's take him alive. Why, he's terribly funny. We'll sell him back home to a circus for money." And the first thing he knew, they built a big wagon with ropes on the front for the pullers to drag on. They dug up his tree and put it inside, with Hortan so sad that he practically cried. "We're off," the men shouted, and off they all went, with Hortan unhappy 100%. Up out of the jungle, up into the sky, up over the mountains, 10,000 feet high. Then down the mountains and down to the sea went the cart with the elephant, egg, nest, and tree. Then out of the wagon and into a ship, out over the ocean. Oh, what a trip! Rolling and tossing and splash of the spray. And Horton said, day after day after day, I meant what I said and I said what I meant. And oh, am I seasick, 100%. After bobbing around for 2 weeks like a cork, they landed at last in the town of New York. All ashore, the men shouted, and down with a lurch went Horton and the elephant, still on his perch, tied onto a board that could just scarcely hold him. Bump! Horton landed, and then the men sold him. Sold to a circus. Then week after week, they showed him to people at 10 cents a peek. They took him to Boston, to Kalamazoo, Chicago, Wisconsin, and Washington too, to Dayton, Ohio, St. Paul, Minnesota, to Wichita, Kansas, to Drake, North Dakota, and everywhere thousands of folks flocked to see and laughed at the elephant up in the tree. Poor Horton. The grew sadder the farther he went, but he sat in a hot, noisy tent. I meant what I said, and I said what I meant, and elephant's faithful 100%. Then one day, the circus show happened to reach a town way down south, not so far from Palm Beach, and dawdling along way up in the sky, who of all people should chance to fly by but that old good-for-nothing bird, runaway Maisie, still on vacation, still just as lazy. Despite the flags and the tents just below, she sang out, "What fun! Why? I'll go to a show." And she swooped from the clouds through an open tent door. "Good gracious," gasped Maisie. "I've seen you before." Poor Horton looked up to his face, white as chalk. He started to speak, but before he could talk, there rang out of the noisiest, air-splitting squeaks from the egg that he sat on for 51 weeks. A thumping, a bumping, a wild, alive scratching. "My egg!" shouted Horton. "My egg, why it's hatching!" "But it's mine!" screamed the bird when she heard the egg crack. The work was all done, now she wanted it back. "It's my egg," she spurred. "You stole it from me. Get off my nest and get out of my tree." Poor Horton backed down with a sad, heavy heart. But at that very instant, the egg burst apart, and out of the pieces of red, a white shell from the egg that he sat on so long and so well. Horton the elephant saw something whiz. It had ears and a tail and a trunk just like his. And the people came shouting, "What's all this about?" They looked and they stared with their eyes popping out. Then they cheered and they cheered and they cheered more and more. They'd never seen anything like it before. "My goodness, my gracious," they shouted, "my word, it's something brand new. It's an elephant bird. And it should be like that." Because Horton was faithful. He sat and he sat. He meant what he said and he said what he meant. And they sent him home happy 100%. The end. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the story. I'll see you next time. Bye.